The meeting's starting in 2 minutes.
Still placeholder.
Yeah.
And we haven't made a decision. That name or something.
What?
16-page huge contract. Oh, wow. You can go through a publisher called Dragon Blade. Dragon Blade, yeah. It's like that.
No.
I can share a lot more once we get the book on paper.
Yeah.
Really exciting stuff. Morning, Ron. Morning, Ron.
Oh, here's the original form and the B one.
Wait, maybe there is. We got 1, 2, 3. And
And
Mavis is here. We got 4.
Bill's here.
Mavis is staying. Yeah, Mavis is here. And Ford walked in.
Put up to the top so we can.
Part of today's discussion, so yeah.
What? Oh, his closed minute stuff.
Bill's not on the committee.
So we can.
All right.
Hello. Oh, thank you. Let him do his close, so you don't have a.
We have, no, but we have 4.
Right.
And then he
Yeah,
can.
right.
We do. It's amazing.
Good idea.
You can't go after all, but we're gonna put.
So
you-
Terrible dragon joke.
Okay. All right. We're going to start the Friday, July 12th Jobs Committee meeting. If we could have roll call, please.
Bates. Doherty.
Doherty here.
Ford.
Board present.
Strathman.
Strathman is not here.
Young.
He will not be here either.
Lewis.
Lewis is here.
Allen.
Present in the room.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
And hi, Corinne is here virtually, listening in.
Thank you.
Good morning. We do have a request from Mr. Doherty to attend online. Make it so. All righty. We need approval of minutes from May 17th.
Alan asks for unanimous consent of approving the minutes of May 17th. Approving the minutes of May 17th and with a thank you to our recording secretary for doing such a nice job on the minutes.
Okay, hearing no objections. It is so. Public comments. We did have one person signed up who is not present in the room, and I do not see anybody online. Yes, going once, going twice. Okay, we'll move right along. Job committee priorities.
Wait.
Oh, no, excuse me. Closed session. I'm so excited.
We need to go into closed session.
Yes, like a motion to go into closed session for the release for the
There we go.
for the consideration of the release of closed session minutes.
I'll second.
So Roth is not in the room. Is he online?
One record.
There's
No.
one that she keeps.
So it's one.
But there was two copies that she keep both.
It was, I think the vast majority of the committees had it.
Yeah, roll call.
When I got the secretaries, we got
Yes.
the list of them, and it was,
You ready?
it must have been something for all of them.
We're back in open session. We need a roll call.
Bates,
Bates here.
Doherty,
Doherty here.
Ford,
Board president.
Lewis here.
Allen.
Allen, present.
And then we need a motion to,
I don't think we can use unanimous consent on this, so we need to do a roll call. Okay, I move that we accept the state's attorney's recommendation as shown on Exhibit A for the release of closed session minutes.
Bates seconds. Bates seconds. Roll call, please.
Bates, Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Ford, Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Allen.
Allen, aye.
Thank you very much, everyone, and I will see you at committees next week.
Thank
Okay.
Have a great
Thank you.
weekend.
Now, we can move on to the job committee priorities.
Good morning, Chris Toth speaking. First item up is our goals and objectives for fiscal year 2025. I put together a little slide. I also passed out a memorandum. It's something we put together 2 years ago because it might be a little bit easier than to read what I put up on the screen. So just to help everyone out. So just our reference for discussion. So this is our original. As we are sitting right now in the county code, the Jobs Committee is, the Jobs Committee will provide guidance to the county board on all matters pertaining to job retention and creation in King County. Its objective will be to maintain and increase employment in King County and to promote the creation of more jobs that pay higher wages, especially in the private economy. Committee leadership and membership will survey current employers to learn how the county can protect existing jobs and demonstrate our appreciation for employers' efforts. The committee will organize a task force type effort to streamline permits and other regulations of businesses to encourage job growth. And it's continued on. Efforts will be made to focus attention and community resources on the employment of veterans, especially those returning from wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. This committee will have jurisdiction over the promotional efforts of Kane County sparklers, i.e. employers, employees, and individuals and groups that provide especially good examples for Kane County citizens and taxpayers. This committee shall have jurisdiction over the Kane County Department of Employment and Education. This committee shall have 2 co-chairpersons, each of whom shall be members of the executive committee. It's a pretty big mouthful, but as you can see in the memorandum, back in April of 2022, we put together a much cleaner and tight version of it. So that's also on the memorandum. So I'll just read that real quick. This committee will provide guidance to the county board on all matters pertaining to job retention and creation in Kane County. Its objective will be to maintain and increase employment in Kane County and to promote the creation of more jobs that pay higher and livable wages, especially in the private economy. Committee leadership and membership will work with current employers to learn how the county can protect existing jobs and demonstrate our appreciation for employers' efforts, as well as create opportunities to expand the goals of employers. Efforts will be made to focus attention and community resources on the employment of veterans and underserved populations. This committee shall have jurisdiction over the Workforce Development Division of the Kane County Office of Community Reinvestment. The second version is much cleaner and tighter. I'm still proud of what we put together as a committee about 2 years ago. I saved it because I'm not sure when it will be updated, but just moving on, I wanted to share some of our thoughts on the goals.
Can I stop 1 second?
Yeah.
So how do we get this cleaner version that we actually wrote up 2 years ago? Asked.
Is it in the county code? It is.
I'm asking my special state's attorney.
Are you referring to the definition in the county code of ordinances as to what the,
Yes.
okay, that would be in section 2-48.
Mhm.
I mean, if you need it now, we could probably send somebody upstairs to get a copy of it.
No, I mean, do we need to at next meeting ask for a resolution to change that section?
Well, Okay, yeah, yeah, I was about to ask, and this answers it.
Mhm.
Is this a proposed actual change, or is this part of the goals and objectives?
No, it's a proposed actual
This is,
change.
okay,
We went through an exercise 2 years ago to actually clean up language because like the sparklers and some of those things aren't really applicable anymore. So we did this, but then failed to actually take the steps to,
has
Change
this
it.
gone over to civil division?
no,
I would suggest that we should take a look at it. And at that point, basically, if this is what you got, I'll, I'll take it over. You send
Okay.
it through, I'll just have somebody send an email to, Mr. Frank.
Okay.
And, I think at this point, unless this committee wants to see it again, it could presumably go to executive committee because they are supposed to have jurisdiction over amendments to to our county code.
does anybody have any objections if we vet it with state's attorney and then just send it to exec?
This was a drill that all the committees did, and then it somehow got dropped. So you're just saying, let's take care of our piece of it? Okay.
Yeah, we did put quite a few months of effort into doing this.
Hmm.
Yeah, we all did that.
Mhm.
Where was the language about having two? Oh, that's the existing language is the two
Mhm.
chairs.
Right,
Because I was going to suggest that potentially shouldn't be in there because no, you don't know what the future will bring.
right.
But it appears that that's been then removed.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it sort of states the obvious.
Mhm. Okay, so I should send an email to,
I would just send a copy, to John Frank
John
and,
Frank. Okay,
the committee members, I suppose.
okay. Thank you very much for the advice.
I would copy the chair,
Yeah,
Madam Chair. also.
Absolutely. Who's on the line anyway? All right, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay,
You
co-chair.
just-
Just to add to that, we have the same current language and proposed language for the County Development Committee that we went over last month with the County Development Committee. So we could look at combining, having those both go through the county board process at the same time.
Okay,
I mean, Shepro, again, there have been many ongoing efforts on various portions of the code, but I think the consensus from our office as well as the board is if we try to do everything all at once, that may never get done. So we're doing it
Mhm.
as
Piecemeal.
they get done.
okay, perfect. All right.
All right,
Thank you,
thank you.
Chris.
And I'll make sure to send you a digital copy after this meeting. So you have digital copies of the handout that I passed around to everyone. So, good. So it's just potential committee goals for fiscal year 25. So the three we thought of were the Economic Development Strategic Plan, begin implementation of the strategies recommended by the Kane County Economic Development Strategic Plan. Regional partnerships is continue to work with the Greater Chicagoland Economic Partnership and other regional partners on economic development activities. And for local economic development programs, we want to continue to meet the objectives of the active ARPA programs and grant programs while actively seeking new opportunities to enhance our current programming. And with that, I'll hand over to Mark.
Yeah, well, first of all, are there any questions? This is, every committee's been doing this. We kind of followed the same format we use for County Development Committee and Agriculture Committee with those general goals. So I have a couple of comments from a budget standpoint on achieving those goals, but first I want to make sure there's no other questions or comments from the committee.
Any comments?
About the goals. I was gonna do something about the economic development on that part.
Sure, can you put the slide back up? Thanks. Perfect. Thank you.
Well, go ahead and do the presentation first.
Oh, so Chris just went over these three kind of broad buckets for, for the committee's consideration in respect to the economic development activities that the development department staff carry out for you. I did just want to mention, particularly with the local economic development programs, we have the 5 active projects funded by ARPA that we'll continue to work on. We also the past 18 months, 2 years, had applied for and received $380,000 in Illinois, state of Illinois DCO funds for the Fabulous Fox Water Trail. And traditionally, we have used Fund 400 as for economic development initiatives to have some funds available to go after grants for matches. That's how we're able to get those state grants so quickly. And we want to continue that. So our budget presentation for the funds out of the development department are going to be next week, Tuesday. And then also our internal request in front of the Riverboat Committee when those are scheduled. But I wanted to advocate on behalf of the budget that's mostly utilized by the Jobs Committee for these economic development initiatives. Last year, we had requested and were awarded $280,375 in order to replenish the Fund 400 economic development to have that flexibility to apply for grants. We're making the same request this year. We need to replenish from the matching funds that we used on the state grants, as well as we're really excited since the county has hired a grant administrator, Paul Kofer, that he'll be going after additional grants and funding opportunities and having this replenishment available to have matches for grant funds, as well as, new initiatives that might pop up that we could do in 2025 with we have in these the funds available in the fund. So anyway, happy to answer any questions, but the formal budget presentation happens at different committees. But I wanted to clue you in on what portion is related to economic development.
Mr. Ford, did you have a question on this or on that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, this is great. I just was going to make a comment about off and on, we have this website that was developed to help support the value of Kane County called Why Kane.
Mhm.
So I don't know how are we involving that in this? Are we starting out fresh or are we applying it now with this or anything like that?
Sure. So we have continued to maintain the status quo on that site in terms of what's been developed. I think in terms of the future of Why Kane, as a site and whatever will depend on, working with the launch of the new economic development organization, they will probably have their own website and materials. So we would probably, either be changing that to be consistent with their marketing, point them to their website for resources and assistance. And then our team would continue to focus on some of the more specialized economic development things that we've been doing, particularly in agriculture and ag tech, and perhaps even, some of the manufacturing initiatives and tourism, things that the economic development organization, might not take on right away, because they'll be working on business retention and attraction. So hope that answers your question.
It does. I just whatever, if there's a change made, that it change so it makes sure that the title of that website we refer to really makes it interesting to go to to find out information about Kane County. That's my hopeful thought.
Along that line, I just wanted to thank Chris for his LinkedIn presence. Every day he is putting something under, I think it's Why Kane on there too. And anything that's going on in the county, whether it's health department or the judicial or anything, he's always, posting those, and it's a big help. So thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you. We just, excuse me, we just hit 500 subscriptions to my page, that web insurance. So appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, one more thing. That's the reason why I brung it up, because it's starting to come to life,
Okay.
you know, because of Chris, of course.
That's Chris.
Yeah. So I don't want to see people will start getting used to it.
Right.
And myself, I'm always referring people to it, to
Mhm.
at least go and take a look at it when they ask questions. So.
Yeah.
And I still get probably 1 or 2 calls at least a month directed from the website. So we maintain it in order to keep that connection alive. So
Okay.
it's going to be a challenge that we're going to face as we transition to the EDO, but some shape or form will be good to at least help with my work.
Okay.
Wait, Ms. Bates and then Mr. Roth.
Where is a copy of the Economic Development Strategic Plan? We've passed that already, right? We adopted that?
Well, it hasn't been formally adopted by the county. We've completed
Okay.
the requirements for the grant. In fact, I'll let Chris give an update on the status.
Yep, I spoke with our team at RW Ventures this week. An executive summary has been completed. They're just finishing up some final touches that I plan to see the final draft, like the final draft next week. And then once we can get that, it'll probably take about 24 to 48 hours worth of graphics work. And then we can have something. My goal is to have it for the next meeting.
For our next meeting.
Hmm.
Okay, great. Because I didn't know where it was and
Oh,
it's
correct.
not,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist yet, which makes me feel better.
Yes. Yeah,
That's why I didn't know.
we're near the finish line, but we are just trying to get everything. We want to kind of full court press everything out at once when it's ready.
Okay, I have a suggestion or a question more
Mm.
about our objectives, our goals. It has to do with something that came up at the IEDA conference. And I could wait or I could do it now. Why wait?
Since we're on this,
Okay, so help me, Anita, with the facts here. But at the EDA, Economic Development Administration, the federal guy, gave a long talk, nice long talk. It was good. And he showed a map of the United States and all of the regions. I think it was the economic regions, or I think it had a D in there. But anyway, these economic regions. And the whole country was mapped out in little blue regions. And Chicago, the white parts did not have an economic development office. And Chicago and the collar counties do not have a regional office, a regional organization for the Department of Economic Development Administration. So Rockford has one, Peoria has one. I stood up, made a bit of a spectacle myself. I stood up, I said, Mavis Bates, King County, I'm upset. And so what I said was, but Rockford was using their economic development organization as their as their office for all this for funneling all these millions and millions of dollars. So I said, how about GSEP becomes, or maybe I said GMAP, or I said, I said, we just joined this thing called GSEP. And I said, I might be over my head here, but that's okay, not the first time. Why don't could we have GSEP become our regional office for the federal EDA? And they said, So I'd like to make that a goal.
Yeah, that's actually been discussed. We're just in the second year of GSEP. And what my understanding, the program under the federal EDA is for a region to have an organization under the federal structure. They have to have what's called a SEDS plan,
Oh,
community
the big
economic
Yeah.
Economic
development strategy. And we had talked to the EDA before we launched on doing our own countywide strategy, and the EDA has moved from wanting individual counties to do a SEDS to having it be more regional SEDS. So that's actually under discussion with our GSAP partners and CMAP on accomplishing that as
Okay.
GSAP for the GSAP region. So that's in the works.
Should we make that a goal for this year?
I think that'd be a goal outside the scope of this committee. But I think it certainly for this committee to support GSAP and CMAP to work together to create a SEDS for the region.
There was a bit of a gasp that went through the room when, you're looking at all these little regions, and then you go, what's wrong with this? Chicago, Kane County, this little white chunk, so of nothing.
Yeah, so that
Okay.
probably helped drive the point home, but that is in the works to do that.
All right, okay.
And the fact that the region hasn't had a regional
What the
partnership
heck?
that's succeeded
Uh-huh.
since GSAP was started. So, but great observation. Yes, it needs to change.
Let's make it so. All right.
Mr. Ford. I know you
Thank you,
have
Madam
something.
Chair. Just to help out you with that. So Rockford, actually, before I came on the county board before, had this big thing they sent out to contractors and investors, and what they had is this seminar, 2 or 3 day seminar to go over what their goals were and open up the doors to everybody, even outside of Rockford. That started, I want to say, about 12 years ago.
Wow.
So I think what they're getting at is how much time it takes to get these things developed and going. And don't as people like us fault, because everybody got to get along to push it through. That's the thing about it. That's what has to happen. So I'm glad you brought it up. It's really good. It's kind of sad. Chicago, hey, they don't have it. Great. Let us have it, and they don't. So they give us a head start. So
What that guy said, the government moves slowly. and I think,
yes,
oh, I'd like
yes.
to be
But
alive.
anyways, so we're heading in the right direction. We had to applaud our staff because they have to be more patient than we are, because things moved and it set, move and it sets, and they're just as eager, probably more eager than we are to get it going. So
Yeah. And they also suggested offline to us that John Grueling would be a great person to work with on that after we get this. And I did convince Mavis that this first, then that. I don't know if she agreed, but.
She's sort of convinced.
Oh, Mr. Roth.
I just wanted a clarification. So Wide Cane is going away and it's going to be replaced by something, I forget what name. Correct?
We're not assuming that the name's going to go away. We're just saying that as we launch the new EDO, there's going to be discussions on branding. I'm certainly continuing Cane and bringing the graphics and everything up to speed, would certainly be one of the options, but they also may choose
To merge. it.
to do something new,
Right.
launch them. I'm not a.
Well, and that was
marketing guru,
going to be
so.
my recommendation. If you're going to merge it, do the announcement on Wide Cane that on such and such a date, and then also modify Wide Cane that it forwards on to the new site.
Yeah,
And then
we'd
it's
absolutely-
transparent to all the users.
Absolutely,
Since
connect.
I'm an IT guy, I just thought I'd throw that out.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Well, with that, we can move on to the next item, which is our economic development updates on our economic development initiatives. The first thing I would like to talk about was the Economic Development Roundtable last month. Just some quick numbers because I'm really excited. New record of 39 attendees from 13 municipalities. We had 3 chambers represented from Batavia, St. Charles, and the Northwest Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We had 4 board members, including 3 from Jobs, and 1 board chair attend. So this was, wow, it was probably the most amazing roundtable we've done. This is year 9 of doing it. Everyone was really engaged. We had great presentations from RW Ventures, John Grueling and myself, self-promotion, to talk about the things that we were doing.
I'll say it was great.
Thank you. But it was a really great meeting. Everyone's really energized. In the last 4 weeks, I've probably taken 20 or 30 calls from people who attended that. I've followed up with meetings. We've had a lot of great excitement. we've worked with partners to start putting together some things we're working on for the EDO launch and the information that they're sharing, the partnerships that we're building. It's just amazing. I thank the committee again for allowing us to have the time to have a longer meeting than usual. It did go for almost 3 hours. I can proudly say that actually everyone stayed until the end, which is something new for a roundtable. People were just so engaged. And I'm excited to look forward to next year's meeting, and we can hopefully have even more engagement. I don't know if anyone had any questions, but I know I see a lot of the faces that were at the meeting here at the meeting today. And I don't know if you have anything you want to share. Any feedback would be great.
Any comments?
Actually, this is an opportunity for the vice chair to comment, the
Yes,
co-chair to
absolutely.
comment. I want to say thanks to Mr. Toth for a really lovely organized event. And the people there seem to be having a really good time. I can remember there was an organization that I don't think exists anymore, and someone said to me that one of the reasons they loved the organization was that they knew they would see 3 or 4 people that they had wanted to see. And so they just made notes for themselves because they knew that they could catch up with each other then. And I saw that in the room. And I think that kind of relationship building is exactly what we want to do with our EDO, is to make it easier for people to talk to each other about their ideas and how to share them and how to make the whole thing work better. So thank you for a really nice event.
I loved it. It was very interesting. When I saw those chairs and at 2 minutes till 3 people were there, I freaked out a little bit. But by 3 minutes after the bell, the room was very full. So congratulations on that too. You did not put out too many chairs. And yeah, it was very, very interesting. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot of great things going on in Kane County. And it's always a wonderful reminder that we're always working together to do a lot of great things, but our individual municipalities are working hard on their own just to improve their local communities. And like I said, everyone has just been so supportive and continues to be supportive as we move forward in the work that we're doing.
I do have a question. Is this a once a year event? I thought it was more often than that in the past. You used to do it twice in 1 year? Oh, okay.
Board Member Ford is correct. We did it twice, once when things were starting to really heat up. But after talking to the people we have about 75% of the members usually attend, the same people attend every year. And they would rather have one robust meeting with everyone than rather have 2. And I think that has proven very successful.
All right. Any other comments before we move along? Okay, thank you.
And then the other update from me is, and it actually goes to Mavis's point, I had a pleasure visit from the World Business Chicago data team came out to meet with us. That's something they plan on doing every 6 to 12 months, just to talk about what kind of data they're seeing, aligning our data that we have coming out in the Economic Development Strategic Plan with what they're finding and how we can even better work on sharing and learning more about what we're doing specifically in Kane County. And so when the Economic Development Strategic Plan comes out, yes, there will be a lot of high level data on that. And then as we move forward, I can also supplement it with more things that we're learning for World Business Chicago. One particular thing that I found interesting was we are a unique cluster for plastics and rubbers manufacturing in the Chicago region compared to the state of Chicago and the surrounding counties. So we are the place to be if you want to make plastic and rubbers.
Okay.
Mark, did you have anything you want to add today?
Go ahead, Mr. Ford.
I'm sorry. So the rubber thing is starting to be a big thing now. It just so happens, I just spent a little time in Michigan for my grandson's first birthday, and his dad purchased a jungle gym swing, so whatever you want to call it. And he was able to purchase the mulch, the rubber mulch from Menards. I didn't know that you could sell it, locally, like they start selling it locally like that. So to see recycling get to that level, to me, was pretty exciting, except for carrying 95 bags of mulch was not the exciting part. So. But that's great to see. We talk about recycling, to see it happen right in your face is very good.
Yeah, I was just going to point out that the research and data team support that we get from World Business Chicago is part of what the county is paying for with our GSEP buy-in and membership. And that alone has been worth the price, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of Kane County's pro rata share, because of the amount of the quick turnaround we've gotten on specific feedback, the depth and amount of reports that they're generally doing for the region, and they can break out Kane County separately. And it was, specifically helpful in Madam Chair's lobbying to get the funding that we needed to eliminate the bridge toll, because we couldn't pull economic data together for a 4-county area like WBC was able to do for us. So that's been a tremendous asset. And it's also going to continue to be a tremendous asset to the new EDO, because they won't have to staff up a whole research team because they'll have that same access. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving along. You guys have more?
Nope, that's everything for me today.
Really? Okay. Then if we're ready, we will move on to the Office of Community Reinvestment and Workforce Development Division. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms.
Berger.
Lewis. This is Scott Berger calling in. I am very happy to share with you, beginning on page 4 of your packet, our monthly financial information. This is an AP report that documents all the expenditures for a 1-month period that our division experienced. I'm also happy to report to you that we just a number of days ago onboarded a new assistant director for finance and administration. And I will be introducing her to you in at your next meeting. She is currently working on a deadline that is today for monthly financial reporting to DCEO. So she's tied up with a deadline right now. But I do look forward to introducing her to you next month and building back up our dashboard reporting that you have grown accustomed to for the workforce development program. So more to come later. And that is my report
That's
for
very
this
good
month.
news. I think we're
Yes.
all very excited about that. Mr. Ford.
I'm sorry, if Scott wouldn't mind, I think it's full news now about the change in our workforce development dollars coming from the state now compared to last year.
Yes, we began our new program year on July 1st, so last Monday. And with this new state fiscal year, we have seen roughly an 11% increase in funding for our annual allocation. Those allocations, you'll recall, are good for 24 months. So we'll be administering that increased funding over that time period.
That's good news. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Berger? Okay, I guess we'll wait till next month to meet our new associate, and glad to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much.
Any new business? We're gonna do ours.
Okay, we're ready.
I have a question for the chairman. You attended some sort of summit.
That's next. This is our segue. Ask the question.
Summit.
Perfect. Want to talk about it a little bit?
Here. So, Ms. Bates and I actually, along with Ms. Strathman, attended the IEDA summit last month, and we actually have a somewhat brief PowerPoint presentation on it, depending on how long Mavis and I choose to talk. So, yeah, so thank you for asking. So it was the Illinois Economic Development Summit, and it was June 20th and 21st in Chicago. And there's their logo. Next slide, please. So you want to do these?
Oh, okay. Oh, this is one, I want the next one. but I'll do this one too. One of the, oh, I never got to work this before.
I don't know.
We'll see. More power,
Yes.
power to the people. Did I do that?
No. No, the three of us.
So part of the fun of this conference was the great news about Illinois. We are not losing population. We are growing in so many wonderful ways. So they talk first about corporate expansion and relocations. So this is a list of some of the companies who have come to Illinois over the last year or two. And so corporate expansion and relocations and manufacturing investments. Rivian is announced the new R2 midsize SUV will be made in Normal, Illinois, where Rivian already employs over 8,000 individuals. So the whole point of this was Illinois is alive and well and thriving, which counteracts much of the news that we hear even in this room about Illinois. So that was great news. That was fun. This one, hang on. All right, this was really fun. Illinois, from the Illinois Economic Foundation, Illinois has the 5th highest GDP in the nation. We are thriving and the 18th largest economy in the world. So sometimes you hear it said, well, if California was its own country, it'd be like the 5th largest economy in the world. So this means if Illinois was a country, it would have the 18th largest economy in the world. That is just amazing. It is the 2nd state in the nation, and Chicago is the #1 metro for 10 years in a row for new and expanding companies. It's home to 32 Fortune 500 companies, making Illinois #1 in the Midwest and Chicago #2 in the entire country for Fortune 500 companies. For infrastructure and education, we are up from 16, let's see, for infrastructure and education, up from number 16 and what does that mean?
That means we've gone from 32 and 16.
To 16,
Yeah.
okay, but we're up. Okay, #1 state in the Midwest for workforce development and becoming a manufacturing tech life sciences hub for the future. This is so great. If you love living in Illinois, now you know why.
And before you move on to the next one, go back just one second.
Okay.
They made a big deal out of this manufacturing, tech, life sciences hub for the future, because so many times people say, oh my gosh, we're losing retail jobs. We're losing, businesses are closing right and left. And that may somewhat be true, but we are attracting so much high-tech jobs and jobs that it just creates so much along with them that you're comparing apples and oranges when you talk about the two.
Okay, so this is maybe my favorite one, but it's hard to choose.
I know.
It's like picking your favorite kid. Don't do it. Okay, Illinois' position in economic indicators. Illinois' population grew from 2010 to 2020 to retake its place as the 5th largest state. The 2020 census puts us in 6th place, but we are really in the 5th place. So this is this goes back to that miscount in the 2020 census. By the way, Aurora is going to spend $1 million on a special census. So maybe that'll even help King County. Illinois' per capita income is 1st among the Great Lakes and 3rd among the 10 most populous states. So our per capita income is doing great. Our labor force participation rate is 64.7%, higher than the other 10 most populous states and 2 points above the national average, which means higher worker retention and tenure among new hires. So this is a thriving state. No wonder King County is doing so great. the whole state of Illinois is doing great. Okay, do you want to take over the wheel at any point in time?
Go ahead and do the bills because you were the one that was like, oh,
Okay, all
Psyched
right,
about the-
I did look these up. Okay, so this was presented by McGuire Woods. And we had the fun experience of nabbing, it was presented by James Sherwood. That's the name of the McGuire Woods consultant who was there. And we nabbed him at dinner. I grabbed him, I said, Mr. McGuire, and I didn't know his name. So I said, hello, Mr. So I said, come on, we're Kane County, come on over and visit with us. So we had the fun of meeting the presenter and spending some time with him. So these bills are talking about these tax credits that are for these are research and development tax credits. So House Bill 5, so of course McGuire Woods was there to kind of brag a little bit about what they got passed. So quantum campus incentive, $500 million for capital appropriation. So in case you're wondering what quantum technology is, it uses the physics of some atomic particles with such issues as quantum entanglement and quantum superposition to do things faster. So it's more powerful computing is what this quantum campus incentive is all about. So as we read down here, greater flexibility for applicants of REV, EDGE, and micro projects. I looked that up. REV, reimagining energy and vehicles. So that's EV stuff. EDGE is economic development for a growing economy. Great. That's the tax credits. It includes tax credits for talk shows. I think they're getting down to details there. But movies, I guess, is a big industry. So they want to bring TV talk shows to Illinois. Good. Micro is manufacturing Illinois chips for Real Opportunity Act. I don't know who managed to put that crazy acronym together, but manufacturing Illinois chips for Real Opportunity Act. So those are financial incentives for chip manufacturers, which is wonderful because that was a huge thing with the supply chain, was that all the chips were being made in Taiwan. So this is all great stuff. Films, game shows, and game shows. So that's what I had for this. Allows industries to produce aircraft with hybrid electric propulsion systems to apply for REV incentives because REV is, going back up and reimagining energy in vehicles. You want to talk about this one?
Sure. Going along with this in the budget, State Bill 251, 500 capital appropriation for the quantum technology, and 10 million for career and technical education, 600 million funding for the local road projects, which we all love, DCEO employment training initiatives, small business innovation grants, clean energy, EV career, technical education pilot programs, and electric truck incentive programs. A lot of this money that's coming is actually to take our current employers and actually bring them up to date, so a lot of them will be like increasing jobs and retooling some of our manufacturing plants, taking areas that are not blighted, but areas that could really use the upgrade and using this money to turn these things into the jobs and the areas of the future, which I found really exciting, like the quantum technology. We're lucky that we have Fermilab and Argonne Labs, and they're kind of the cornerstone of this. And like the whole thing with Rivian, we had a whole presentation on Normal and what the Rivian plants have done, to bring in the jobs there and what's it done in the area. So.
Okay, great. Next.
Okay, primary business sectors that are being attracted, targeted are manufacturing, logistics, tech, energy, and agribusiness. And amazingly, I think they stole this slide from you guys because this is exactly what we're talking about attracting in Kane County. We love our manufacturing. We want to keep it. We want to make sure it stays and grows and that we support the existing businesses and new logistics. Yeah, although we love it, because of our warehouses, we're not real crazy about the trucks, but we know what's important. Tech, obviously, energy, our EV, and agribusiness. We don't go a meeting without talking about how important, especially in Kane County, our agribusiness is, and, you know, the fact that 50% of our county is ag, and we want to keep it that way. So we were very excited. I think we applauded this slide.
Yeah, we did a lot of applaud.
We did.
Just us.
Yeah. And then one of the things that I was so excited about was they did a local success story, and it happened to be Mario Frangipani, who is the North American Operations Director for Frundenberg Household Products, which we know as O-Cedar. They can call it what they want. It's O-Cedar in Aurora. And Dave Bole from IMAC, which is the Illinois Manufacturing Excellence Center, which is, you know, a big partner with us. And the presentation was called Development Trends Reshoring of Manufacturing. And they went into a long presentation about how Frundenberg was already in the US, but they wanted to increase their businesses. They chose the Chicago area, namely Aurora, because of the access to all the other industries, transportation, the skilled labor, educational support that they thought they could receive, and also the local partnerships with IMAC and also VIA they mentioned. So both of our, you know, two of our great partners. And what I found was interesting was one of their challenges was that currently the cost in the US to produce the O-Cedar products is 7 times higher than sourcing it overseas. So they knew that the gains they're going to get have to come through productivity. And that's why they continue to look at our education, other companies that they can partner with to bring down costs so they don't have to get materials elsewhere. And they did keep really, really hammering the thing about education and how excited they are in the future to work with Wabansie, ECC, Aurora University, and even the high schools so that they can, you know, bring in skilled labor. And one other thing that he said that I found so interesting was as they talk about productivity and he looked at his workforce, they're largely Hispanic and many of them do not speak English. And so instead of like, you know, saying, oh, well, too bad, they brought in on company time tutors and they teach English classes there on company time. And he said that in itself has increased productivity so much because now everybody can talk and all those people that are doing all the work are sharing their ideas freely. And now it's got to the point that the people that speak English are now upset that they aren't learning Spanish. So they're going to bring that in-house too. I thought, what an amazing, first of all, local success story, but also what a great company to have that is so invested in making things work in the United States that they're willing to really embrace the community. So we are going to plan a tour over there. They said anytime. So all the jobs committee, we will all be invited to go over there. It's like several of you have been there, but it's a really.
I have
cool
not.
place. I know.
I'm gonna go.
I know.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna expand that just a little bit. When they talked about the educated workforce, they talked about automation and that their workforce has to become all technicians running these, you know, robotic manufacturing. So that's part of the productivity will be increased with more automation. But not hopefully not eliminating jobs, but raising jobs to a new level.
Right, because instead of just being machine
Programmers.
operators, they'll actually be technicians.
Yeah.
And which, as you know, productivity, if you have downtime because you have machine issues, then your productivity goes down. But if they're technicians, they can run it, fix it, and get back online.
Yep.
In a nutshell.
More? Go.
I think there's one more.
Okay.
So the last thing we wanted to talk about was when you go to these conferences, networking is one of those things that people don't always consider important, but it really is. So we got to spend the evening with, as Mavis said, James Sherwood, who's from McGuire Woods, and a couple of his other staff members. So, I mean, we had their direct ear and got to hear really firsthand about a lot of stuff that's going on in our state. And then, of course, Michael Cassis, who's a good friend of ours. He's the past president of IDEA. He just turned it over. And he's the economic development head at the Village of Sugar Grove. And by the way, he had nothing but wonderful things to say about the future of Kane County and the Economic Development Organization and the luncheon. He was still kind of on a high from the luncheon. So huge supporter of ours and also a very intelligent man. So good resource to keep in our pocket. Christopher Walton, he was the village administrator from the Village of Savoy. And the reason actually he sat with us was because as we've been talking as a board about whether we need an administrator, he has some great resources, which he then shared with us. And so he's another good contact to have. Greta Salamando, she's the Business and Community Engagement Coordinator from Carpentersville. She was at the luncheon. Very nice young lady. And it's always good because, like, for me, I found I don't really go to Carpentersville, so it's nice to have those connections. And of course, she invited us all up there to see what's going on in Carpentersville, which is nice. And then lastly, Tom Barone, who's the U.S. Economic Development Head for our region. He gave a very nice presentation on what's going on in our area, and to the point where he gave everybody his personal email and cell phone that if you need anything, any help with these kind of things. And they did so much as far as telling us about how to get sites ready and how to keep attracting businesses to Illinois. And I just want to thank you guys for, continuing to support their board members going. I want to thank Mavis and Cheryl for attending with me. The three of us, we learned a lot, and we were able, it's always good when you have more than one person because you're able to kind of springboard ideas off of each other and laugh a little too. But it was really good, and I hope next year we will continue to have our board attend.
Make this presentation available to the board.
Sure. Mr. Roth.
I was going to recommend maybe find out if you could present it at the cow.
Okay.
Maybe we can get some people to show up at the cow meeting.
We were going to present this at the full board, and then we had the agenda so full. We're going to do it exactly as
That's why doing cow, because that's supposed to be the full board.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I will ask Madam Chair if we can do that.
We could do that. That'd be fun.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for your indulgence. I do have one more thing, and then I'll turn it over to Ms. Allen. I am on the ISACO, which is the Illinois State Association of Counties. Keep my acronyms. And I'm on their Community Economic and Workforce Development Policy Committee. Yes. So anyway, in our last meeting, we just meet 4 times a year electronically, so it's not costing the county anything. And at the last meeting, we were all told that if our counties have anything legislatively that they want ISACO to make sure gets brought up in either the veto session or going into next year, we needed to get that back to them. So I just wanted to open it up to this committee that, and you don't have to give me an answer today, they need to know by August 16th if there's anything that we want them to help push for us. And that would be anything related to community, economic, or workforce development policy. And also, why I'm on this, the other committee members are from Peoria County, McHenry County, DuPage County, Will County, and then me. So we've been having some really interesting discussions about mostly issues and roadblocks that we're having in our counties and how the others of us are working around it. And because we all have somewhat of the same things. We have our workforce, issues, training. We all have this horrible thing called housing shortages. And yeah, so it's really been an interesting committee for me, and I'm glad I got to be part of it. But if you do have anything, I'd love to pass that along.
Thank
And
you.
that's the end of my commercial. Miss Allen.
I did mine.
Okay. All right. If there's any comments for the good of the committee?
Carry on.
Okay, then we need a motion to place the reports on file.
Bates would so move or ask for
Unanimous consent?
unanimous consent.
Okay. No objections to that? We did our comments. Last thing, Mr. Kenyon. Oh, I mean. Mr. Ford, would you like to make the motion?
Behalf through Mr. Kenyon,
Mhm.
Mr. Farmer. Enjoy the rest of this great sunshiny day as he would.
There, as he would say.
8 seconds.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you for a great day.